She was walking upstairs with her t-shirt, and she wasn't paying attention.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Welcome, Andy and Kathleen Card, back to campus. Wonderful to see you. I'd also like to recognize our Board of Trustees who are back on campus as well for the first time since their October 2019 meeting. Welcome, trustees. Thank you to the university's senior staff for joining us today, as well as faculty, staff, students, alumni, and guests who are joining us through the live stream. It is now my honor to introduce the chair of the Franklin Pierce University Board of Trustees, Fred Pierce.
Thank you, Katie, and our obligatory COVID-19 protocol. And speaking of which, today's really a momentous day in the history of Franklin Pierce University, and it's made special and unique for a variety of reasons. I mean, obviously, we've been waiting for this portrait unveiling since before the pandemic, and I've had the opportunity to be in constant, communication, with the Cards about, the timing of when we might be here in person, because this was too important for us to not have at least our Board of Trustees be here to share in this portrait unveiling and dedication. So thanks for your patience as we waited, for this time to come. There went my cover. Sorry about that. But COVID-19 has also done something special, which is this is now being viewed and available to the entire broadest of the campus community who might want to and do want to and are there watching with us here today. Thank you for joining that are with us remotely. It's an exciting day here at Franklin Pierce University. And the other thing is this marks the first time our board has met in person in 19 months. So it was back in October of 2019. And I'll tell you, the board meeting this morning, and while we did have several board members join us remotely, we had a really good turnout, and it was a bit like a homecoming, for us here today to finally see friends and colleagues, after all of this amount of time. So, again, this is historic because we're going to have the dedication of the portrait of the 5th president in the history of Franklin Pierce University, Dr. Andy Card, and that's pretty darn exciting. And as we are about to embark upon the 60th anniversary next year of Franklin Pierce University, Dr. Mooney represents the 6th. So we've had 6 presidents in 60 years. That's pretty special to have that small number of presidents, and to be able to have portraits, of all of them is just so awesome. I think we can't wait to see what we've got right here. So Dr. Card needs no introduction, but you know what? I hate that. I don't buy into that program. As a matter of fact, he deserves an introduction. And for those that might be out there that weren't here when he was our president, let me just say a few things. That he started his distinguished career in the Massachusetts legislature, and then moved on to the highest level of service in this country. He was the deputy chief of staff to George Herbert Walker Bush, President George Herbert Walker Bush, and then moved on to become the chief of staff for George W. Bush, where, I don't know if all of you know this, but with a tenure of 6 years as the chief of staff, was the second longest serving presidential chief of staff in the history of the United States. That is spectacular in a job that is pressure packed, believe me. And he's also, in addition to have been our president, he's a former Franklin Pierce University trustee and holder of an honorary degree from here, amongst those from a couple of other higher educational institutions. Where we were, he was able to right the ship, if you will, and start the path towards the recovery of the university and get it pointed in the right direction. And oh, how important, that was at this juncture in the history of Franklin Pierce University. And, what I've been told, Dr. Card, is that, you were all in doing this this job when you were here, that you dedicated, an endless amount of time. You dedicated your heart and soul, and frankly, he was very, financially a benefactor of this university as well, which to this day is very much appreciated. Your reputation was that you were connected to the students, and that's something Kim has continued that tradition. A hallmark of a great president is that they can lead with all the administrative responsibilities, but they never forget why we're here, and the students are why we're here. And they said that was a really important part, of your legacy, and we appreciate that with full Raven pride. And, and the other thing I would say is, with the background that I gave of Dr. Card, his stature, as a government leader, a political leader, as a national leader, coming to us at that time, that stature meant a tremendous amount. Because while the university was struggling through some financial times, to have somebody with your stature come in and agree to accept that position gave legitimacy to all of our constituents that we desperately needed at that point in time. So we appreciate your willingness to accept that position and serve in that capacity. It really did an immense amount to help us, start turning to where I'm sure you'd be proud to know that we've got an endowment over $20 million now, and the university contributed money into the endowment from the bottom line in a pandemic year. So, the leadership you showed has continued, but a big foundation of it, came from you, Andy, and we appreciate that very much. And you'd also know that he helped us establish the relationship with the Boston Herald that created our role in presidential primary polling that has elevated the visibility of Franklin Pierce University nationally. And that's all so important in a competitive time for private universities in America. And we're really proud of that affiliation and that opportunity for the university and our students to be involved in that. It's really great. And the other thing I'd say, the final thing I'd say is that, behind every great leader is a partner. And the former First Lady of Franklin Pierce University is with us here today as well, Kathleen Card. And Kathleen, thank you for all you did, as the First Lady of Franklin Pierce University. You guys were a team. It's great to have you both back. And we thank you for your service and your dedication. And, with that, what I'd like to do is welcome to the podium and really welcome to the portrait here, the fifth president of San Diego, the fifth president. Here, I'm coming from San Diego. I got San Diego on the brain. Sorry about that, gang. But the fifth president from Franklin Pierce University, Dr. Andy Card.
This is the artist that told the truth, unfortunately.
Take this off?
Are we ready?
This? Sure, I guess we just pull it down. Gently.
Yes.
Gently, yes.
Gently, if possible. That's tucked in at the side. I'm good. We're good, just let it fall.
The nose knows. The artist that did this painted at least two other portraits that are in this room. Three other portraits in this room. Richard Whitney, and he is the artist. He's from New Hampshire. He is a remarkable man. And could I ask him to give a little brief description on what it was meant to be able to have to force me to sit and not move for a very long time?
No, I'd be happy to. I'm very honored to be back here at Franklin Pierce. I've done other portraits of presidents before, and it's a great pleasure to be here again. With a half-length portrait with hands, of course, the whole problem is what do you do with these hands? And we've talked about it, and Andy said that basically, whenever I'm talking to anybody, I'm always doing this. Okay, so we experimented. He's talking to you. He's expressing something to you, and it's this gesture that I wanted to get. So I wanted to make him as alive as possible. That he's talking to the viewer and he's expressing something. And I gather from the applause that I was successful. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate that. And we have a beautiful studio in Stoddard, New Hampshire, right up the road. Please come and visit. And
It's a remarkable place. I encourage all of you to go, and maybe some of you would like to be painted.
it's not a terrible business. I didn't mention that. That's why you get to raise the money. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. Chairman Fred Pierce, thank you very much. President Kim Mooney, thank you very much. It's a real privilege to be here. This is an emotional experience for me. You know, I'm sure that some people wanted to hang me on campus a long time ago, but it takes a very different form in a painting, and I'm honored to be here with others who I met. Warren Peterson, I actually met him when he was president. George Hagerty is from my hometown, and he's the one who invited me to have a relationship to Franklin Pierce. I served on the board with him. And Jamie Burge, my predecessor, so I got to know him, and it'll be wonderful when I come and witness Kim Mooney's portrait being put up after her tenure is over. I also want to give credit to Marlon Fitzwater. And Kristen Nivius is here, right out there, okay. But Marlon Fitzwater is someone who I'm very close friends with. And he was kind of down in the dumps after George H.W. Bush had lost re-election. And I said, I was with him in Maryland, and I said, Marlon, you've got to get over this. You've got to get around young people. You should be involved with a college campus and students. They're the future. Get engaged. He says, I'm not sure I want to do that. And I said, I'm on the board of a small college in New Hampshire called Franklin Pierce. And I have a friend named George Hagerty, who was the president of the university. It was a college then. And I said, it would be great if you took a look at it. And he says, in New Hampshire? I hate New Hampshire. I said, if George Hagerty comes to Washington, D.C. area, would you meet him in Washington, D.C. area? And he did. And Marlon ended up joining the board. And he fell in love with Franklin Pierce. He fell in love with the students at Franklin Pierce. And he motivated us to create the Fitzwater Center, which is now world-renowned and has produced a number of students who have gone on to do phenomenal things, including win Emmys. And it's pretty remarkable. So I want to give credit to Marlon Fitzwater, because he was the one who called me when I was in Texas. And he said, well, would you ever think about coming back up to Franklin Pierce to be president? And that caused Mike Fallon to give me a call, and conversations took place. And it was not on my bucket list. But it was an experience that changed my life. And I was very grateful for the experience that I had here working with wonderful people, many of whom were in the room, some of them who are not here. And I do want to give a shout out to them because they made a big difference in how I did my job. First of all, the two Vickies. Vicki Rank is here. Vicki Doyle is not, but they helped shepherd me in on kind of day one, week one, month two. And then Ann Gagnon joined me as my right hand. And Nathaniel Pierce came in to help manage the campus and get us through transitions, and he did a remarkable job, and I'm very grateful to them. Jim Wilkin, who was a communications extraordinaire, he had very good peripheral vision. Sometimes his tunnel vision was a little not that clear, but he was remarkable in how he helped to create a climate so that people could pay attention to Franklin Pierce, learn about it, and then come here. Larry Leach, who was a rock star at Franklin Pierce, actually a basketball star at Franklin Pierce, and put Franklin Pierce on the map in terms of athletics, was instrumental in helping me to make sure that we had a wonderful relationship with students that may not have felt as welcome in New Hampshire as they should have. And he was a remarkable leader for me in helping me do my job. So I'm very grateful to them. There were many others. Bruce Kirsch, who was the legacy of Franklin Pierce, certainly taught me an awful lot. I had the benefit of paying attention to Bruce Kirsch when I was on the board with George Haggerty and almost everything else. So he defined Franklin Pierce for a lot of people. And I'm grateful to the board members that served during my tenure that are no longer on the board. We had Al Minahan from Massachusetts, outstanding member. Ricky Pitts from California, a lifelong friend of mine from Holbrook who really believed in what we do in this campus. We had Laura Triance, who was a product of Stonehill College, and when George Haggerty came to Franklin Pierce, she came to Franklin Pierce and fell in love with the students here in this campus, and she was a wonderful board member, and she was really remarkable in what she did during my tenure as president. So I'm very grateful. Most of all, I want to thank the board members, Mike Fallon, Steve Camerino, and the team that they led during my tenure, and that leadership continues today. I'm very grateful for that, and I appreciate, Fred, what you do as the chairman of the board now and all of the members of the Board of Trustees. Seeing you when I walked in, it's hard because you're all wearing masks, and I'm older, but it's really good to see you. And John Burke he's a rock. He's just a phenomenal person. And we have lots of other people that we are grateful for, but I just tell you that there are students that I still keep in touch with. I heard from two today. Susanna Susanna Batchelder today reached out to me, and Jacqueline Flaherty, who I hear from quite regularly, and I know Jacqueline really wanted to be here, and we got the word to that it was COVID distance and couldn't do it, but the students, I keep in touch with a lot of the students. And Paul Hardy, I don't know if you know Paul Hardy. Paul Hardy served on the Board of Trustees. He is one of the world's leading experts on helping to meet the challenges of autism. And this campus has a unique relationship to people who are challenged by autism. And Paul Hardy was a very, very wise person and helped me an awful lot when he served on the board. And I'm grateful for the support that he gave when I was here. But I tell you, my tenure was short, but it was life-changing for me, and I was grateful for the experience that I had here and got to witness the #1 baseball team in the country. And we had little buttons to prove it, and it was fun to be ranked there. I think they got ranked twice there in 2 years, so that was, and I was here for 2 years, so it was pretty good. And I just am so grateful for the staff that works very hard, the faculty that is very committed, and the students who are excited to be here. This is a unique and special institution, and I happen to feel it's got the best view of any college in America. And you know, living in the shadows of Mount Monadnock means that you put up with all of the weather that Mount Monadnock puts up with. Which means this is the place to be in the winter because you can't go anywhere else. So we become very interdependent, and you know that I have always suggested that perseverance, integrity, engagement, respect, community, and excellence define Pierce. And there isn't a student who goes here who doesn't understand the need to have perseverance, to find the benefit of integrity, to be engaged, to be, I'm going to say, respectful, to be part of the community, and to seek excellence. And the purpose in seeking excellence is it's a never-ending battle. So that's why this campus is also so good for students, because if you come here, you will end up being a lifelong learner. And that's why our graduate programs are so good. At any rate, it's an honor to be hung on the campus of Franklin Pierce. And I'm very grateful to the trustees and President Mooney and Chairman Pierce for including us. But I'm most grateful for my wife, who I met in the 5th grade. So I can tell you, for her, it might just be habit. For me, I'm still in love with her. And she was my partner at Franklin Pierce, and she really made a difference. And she put as much into this campus as any first person has done. And I say that with great respect for Dorothy Peterson, who I also know gave a lot to this campus. Thank you, and it's a great privilege to be here. Chairman Fred Pierce, it's back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Card, for those remarkable words and your remarkable service. And even though your tenure was short, it was so important to this university. You can get a lot done in a short period of time when you're really a leader, and Kathleen as well as our First Lady. So with that, now's the time to socialize a bit before we have to get back to our meeting. So we're gonna exit to the Maruli Lounge for some refreshments, and I'd encourage you all to stay. For those joining us in the streaming video, thanks so much for tuning in and witnessing a piece of history of Franklin Pierce University and the unveiling of the portrait of our 5th president, Dr. A.D. Card. Thanks and have a good day.